What's going on, everybody? Doc, Average Gamer Guys, back yet again. More Escape from Tarkov action, and we got some additional news today that I want to cover. I'm going to say quick, fast, and in a hurry. So we're going to get down and dirty into it. I'm going to showcase the extended trailer that we got for Streets of Tarkov, aptly named Concordia, which is really cool. So we get to see more of kind of like a rolling playthrough of it, which is really neat. So we'll jump into that. And then there was a Q&A with Nikita after that got released and discussed a little bit, and I'm just going to hit some major highlights. So that's what you can look forward into with this one. Really do appreciate all the support. If you're jumping in the channel for the first time, thank you so much. Feel free to explore. We got a whole bunch of EFT content, so hopefully you find something that you like. But let's jump into the trailer first, and then we will pick it up after that.
Так, не выебываемся!
All right, so I gotta say, I continue to be very impressed. If you saw the previous video we did when it first got released, I continue to be very impressed with just the quality, the depth, just how much it feels like and it looks like they have done. Interestingly, with the Q&A with Nikita, he talked a lot about Streets of Tarkov. He talked about a lot of other things that are upcoming, and gave a little bit of additional details that I think are really neat. A lot of questions that we had out there, and some new stuff that was shared about Streets of Tarkov. So they talked they have a lot more to do. They're still looking to try to get it out by the end of this year, but it sounds like it is absolutely massive. They asked about the scope and the size of the map, and we've heard this before, but basically if you took all of the current maps and smashed them together, it would still be much bigger than all of that. So you can get at least an idea of the scope of how big Streets is going to be and all of the content that they're trying to pack into it. They did talk about that they do have like basically the playable build, right? They have people that are walking through, you can see it, but they have a lot of details. And right now they're working on basically not only the realism of the environment in a post, battle and war state, but also making sure that it's balanced and it's fun to play. So properly placing barriers, properly placing obstacles, things that are going to allow for, fun tactical gameplay, as well as just a good environment. So I thought that was really cool. They talked a lot about balancing, and that is a huge portion of what they have to do. They've also talked about that they've had to cut some things, and they have to basically find a stopping point for this initial build with Streets. Nikita in previous podcasts had talked about that, they're going to release it in chunks. So they're really focusing on some main areas, and then it sounds like, again, they're going to do some expansion after that, which is really cool. It's going to keep the map fresh, but it's also going to allow us to get there. One question that was asked was, what was the size that they are looking for? And Nikita said upwards, in addition to 40 players on the map at once. They said, he said specifically that they're really looking for it not to feel vacant. It's gigantic. The Concordia trailer that you see is basically just pretty much one building that he talked about that's explorable of many inside of Streets. So they want to pack in the PMCs. They want to make sure that it feels fresh, and that's including scavs. Now, interestingly enough, that led into a discussion about scav bosses. They are currently planning 2, maybe 3 specific to Streets of Tarkov. So that is some new news, at least that I heard this first time in this Q&A. 2 is definitely planned. They're looking at 3. They also talked about, and I think this would be fantastic, roaming bosses. So in certain special circumstances or certain events, they can have other map bosses like Killa, like Rashala, like Sturman. They can get everybody basically to do a meetup in Streets, because Streets is pretty central place for Tarkov. So imagine 2 or 3 native bosses to Streets in addition to some of the other bosses coming in. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm so excited about that. I think that's going to add a lot of variability. It's also going to make it so that the PvP with PMCs is a center focus of the action, but it also, I think, is going to draw some folks and make it interesting for solo players, or for smaller, 2-3 man squad teams to go hunt some of those bosses down. I think that would be really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I've always really enjoyed the scav boss fights, and having 2 or 3 unique ones plus some of the other ones on Streets would be really, really cool. So they talked a little bit more about the BTRs. This is the other kind of big piece of the news, is that it's going to act as a taxi service. So players or squads can pay, it sounds like, a lot of money, but basically they're going to be able to put in waypoints, streets, certain POIs, points of interest, and they're going to be able to pay for this BTR to taxi them around. They said the cannon is going to be usable by the driver in semi-auto mode. Again, you're going to have to pay for this service. It's also going to be on an unpredictable path. But this led into a conversation with Nikita, and Nikita talked about that you're obviously also going to be able to ambush this thing. And he specifically mentioned RPGs with different type of charge rounds being introduced, basically as an not tank weapon, because it's not a tank, but this anti-vehicle weapon. So I expect that we're going to see, honestly, some higher tier loot type stuff, RPGs being introduced. I can't imagine that those are going to be cheap. things like your GL40s probably getting some additional rounds that are going to help to at least disable this thing. I think that's actually very cool. And the fact that it's a service that you can pay for, it's unpredictable, I think is going to add a lot of dynamic stuff to the environment. In addition, for those that were a little worried, because I'm a little worried about streets being an area where you might get into and get in a good fight, close quarters fight in a building with maybe another squad, kill them, get some loot, maybe fight one of these bosses, get some loot. But then how the heck do you get out of there with being so big and so many players? If you can rent this BTR to taxi you around, that is a great way to be able to do that. So I thought that was really cool. I look forward to seeing more from this. The cannon being usable in semi-auto mode is very scary, as I can't imagine you're going to live very long if that thing shoots anywhere near you, which is going to be interesting. So make sure you know how to take cover. The last thing just to highlight, and there was a bunch that they talked about. The last thing I want to highlight is they did talk and spend some more time talking about the destructible environments. I'm really excited for this. They said with the walls, it's going to be those specific areas that you saw, just like you see in the trailer. They also talked about doing something similar with wood doors, being able to breach those, blow those open. I think that's really dynamic. It seems like they're very invested in doing this. They also talked about picture frames, keyboards, books and things falling off shelves. This is just the first iteration, I think, of what they want to do with destructible environments, which is really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. They said it's going to be dynamic, it's going to be neat and unique to certain areas, and obviously they want to expand on it, but that's that balance of features versus also making sure that they can get making sure that they can get this out in a quality timeline. So a couple other questions got asked. They asked when wipe was. There was no answer. They talked about and asked when was the factory expansion 12.11 coming, and that patch. Soon is the answer we got. Soon. Based on Nikita's response, it seems like, again, soon. So hopefully sometime this month, and hopefully very, very quickly. But again, they asked about patch, about wipe. He said nothing. He basically dodged around the question, and then they didn't press him for the answer. So he said he can't tell, and that's where we're going to leave it with that. So 12.11 soon, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. So that was the highlights. Really recommend it. Was over on Twitch. If you want to check it out, I'm sure hopefully somewhere we'll post the full video. But that was the down and dirty details. At least the things that I thought were important and unique from what we had seen and heard in the past. So in addition, linked below is going to be the full extended trailer over on BSG's YouTube. So if you want to go check that out, really high quality, they put it out. Hopefully this one is pretty good. And yeah, we got some cool details. So I'm going to do my own quick plug. Like, comment, subscribe. We do appreciate all the support. Again, if you're stopping in for the first time, got a hardcore series. We've got a bunch of different challenge series. We're going to be starting up, I think, some kind of player guides here pretty soon that I'm excited to get into. And we also stream Fridays and Saturdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch. We also have a Discord and Twitter. If you want to give us a follow over there, we'd love to chat with you live, play some games. We do some of our hardcore live. In addition, we've just been doing a lot of PvP this late in the wipe, playing some labs, hunting some cultists and things at night. So we're having an absolute blast. We'd love to have you over there and hang out with us. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Doc, Average Gamer Guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.